Okay, let's unpack this. If you've spent, I don't know, 5 minutes in the aquarium hobby, you know about cichlids. I mean, you see them in documentaries, you hear the stories. They are the heavyweights of the fish world.
Oh, absolutely. Fiercely territorial. They're the fish that will redecorate your entire tank overnight.
And they will absolutely fight their neighbors. It's just what they do.
That aggressive personality is, I mean, it's the foundation of the cichlid family. It's their whole brand, really. When you buy a cichlid, you're usually signing up for a little gladiator.
Exactly. But today, we're diving into some research notes from a fish keeper, a really dedicated one, who was scouting for a new breeding program. And our mission here is to pull out the key findings about this one species, this one gorgeous exception that seems to have completely missed the memo on aggression.
The fish in question is the Anomalochromis Thomasi. Most people know it as the African Butterfly Cichlid.
And right away, the big takeaway is its social behavior. It's just so surprising.
And that one detail, that social aspect, creates immediate fundamental challenges if you want to keep them, and especially if you want to breed them.
So let's start right there. This behavior it flies in the face of the cichlid name. The notes call it a surprising departure. Scientifically, what makes the Thomasi so different from, say, Jack Dempsey?
Well, the core of it is that the African Butterfly Cichlid just isn't wired for that solitary, super aggressive life. The source material calls it loosely social, which, sounds like a bit of an understatement.
Loosely social for a cichlid. That's like saying a shark is kind of bitey.
Right. It has these profound practical implications. They don't just tolerate being around others. They actually need it.
So wait, if you have a cichlid, wouldn't putting a bunch of them together isn't that asking for a disaster? Usually you separate a mated pair so they don't murder everything else in sight.
That's the crucial question, isn't it? And the source implies that it's managed by leaning into their natural biology. They do best in pairs, or, this is the key part, small groups of 8 or more.
8.
8 or more, yeah. It's to encourage their natural shoaling behavior. The aggression doesn't just vanish, but in a group that size, it gets diffused. It's not all focused on one poor fish.
8 or more. Wow. That is a massive commitment for a breeder right out of the gate. You can't just set up a little 20-gallon tank. We're talking about, 4 times the space, 4 times the cost, just for your initial stock.
And it's not just about keeping them calm or reducing stress. It's deeper than that. For a breeder, this is the most critical piece of information. That shoaling behavior, it's what triggers the hormonal responses for reproduction. In that social structure, stress is lower, but the hierarchy, the constant presence of others, that's what encourages them to pair off and spawn.
So if you isolate them,
they just shut down. They get stressed, they hide, and they will not breed. They need that social feedback.
So it's not a luxury. It's a non-negotiable first step. You have to commit to 8 fish in a big tank, or you're just not going to get any eggs.
Exactly. The source makes it clear right away. This species is a high-cost, high-commitment project simply because it needs a community. Utterly foreign for the cichlid world.
Okay, so you've bought your group of 8 or more. That brings us to the next hurdle the fish keeper ran into. How do you actually pick out a pair from that group? This leads right into what the notes call the dimorphism dilemma.
Yeah, this is a classic headache for breeders. With a lot of popular cichlids, like angelfish, once they're mature, telling them apart is pretty easy.
Right, the male's bigger, or has a bump on his head, or longer fins.
Exactly. But the Thomasi Cichlid shows, and this is the term they use, limited sexual dimorphism.
So what does that actually mean when you're standing in front of the tank trying to make a choice?
It means it's quite difficult.
Oh, I bet.
The visual cues are tiny, even in full-grown adults, and the research really stresses this point. It's especially tough in the juvenile stage.
Which is, of course, when you'd be buying them. They're cheaper, they ship better.
Of course. So as the breeder, you've got this expensive group of 8 fish, and you basically have to wait.
You can't just pick one of each.
You have to let them grow out, mature, and hope they choose each other. It's a huge gamble on time and resources.
And that tank space could be used for, 2 other pairs of something that's way more productive.
It's a massive investment. You're dedicating all that infrastructure, just hoping that 2 of them will eventually hit it off. The limited dimorphism forces you to rely on luck and their social nature.
That actually justifies the need for the big group, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, if you could tell them apart, you just buy a male and a female. Since you can't, buying 8 is... It's like you're playing the odds. You're increasing the statistical chance that a good pair is in there somewhere.
Precisely. The two challenges are completely intertwined. The social nature lets them pair off, and the fact that you can't tell them apart forces you to use that social nature. It raises a really important question, though.
What's that?
What happens if you can't even judge the quality of the fish you're buying?
And that is a perfect pivot, because the notes go right there next. They start looking at the visual state of the fish that are actually available. It's not just about male or female anymore. It's about the quality of the stock itself.
Yeah.
The color issue.
Right. So the fish keeper is looking at the available fish, and they notice that the colors are, well, they're subdued. They're washed out. The vibrant patterns you want from an African Butterfly Cichlid just aren't there.
So now they have to make a judgment call, a really high-stakes one.
It's a call that could determine the success of the entire project before it even begins.
And what are the two distinct scenarios the research lays out for why the colors might be so dull?
Okay, so scenario 1 is the best case, the hopeful outcome. The fish are simply juveniles lacking full coloration and striping.
Meaning they're just young. They'll color up later with good food and care.
Exactly. It's an investment in a future high-quality fish.
And then there's the other possibility, the dreaded scenario 2.
Scenario 2 is that they represent a rejected badge with subdued colors, and that carries a huge financial risk.
A rejected batch. What does that actually mean? Why are they rejected? Beyond just looking a bit drab right now.
It's about market value and genetic stability. If you're breeding for quality, you need parents with the best possible traits. The brightest colors, the sharpest patterns.
So fish from a rejected batch.
They'll probably produce washed-out babies. And that tanks the value of your entire next generation. Or worse, if the poor color is from bad health or stunting, they might not even breed at all.
So the breeder is stuck. Do they risk all that time and money on a group of fish that might turn into something beautiful? Or do they assume the worst and just pass on them entirely?
And that risk is just magnified by the other problems. If you only needed one pair, maybe you'd take the chance. But you need 8 or more, and you have to wait for them to pair off. You're sinking a lot of capital into a batch of fish that is a total question mark.
It's fascinating. You have to decide if a fish is just undeveloped or if it's permanently flawed. And you have to make that call with almost no information. Pure visual risk assessment. So, okay, let's bring it all together. The researcher knows all this. They know about the shoaling, the difficulty in sexing them, the color gamble, but they introduce a solution. It's all about opportunity and timing.
Exactly. They realize they can't change the fish's biology, but they can change the environment to match it. The keeper specifically notes having recently freed up an outdoor pond area.
An outdoor pond. How does that solve these specific problems?
It's all about space. It gives them the volume they need. Suddenly, they can handle a much larger group way, more than just 8, which takes care of the social requirement perfectly.
A more natural, less stressful environment.
Right. And in a space that big, the dimorphism problem, it basically solves itself.
Because you don't have to pick them out yourself.
Exactly. You can put, say, 20 fish in the pond and just let nature take its course. The best, strongest individuals will find each other and pair up without you having to guess.
The space buys you patience.
It buys you patience, and it mitigates the risk of the rejected batch.
Ah, right. If half of them never color up.
It's fine. If 10 out of your 20 fish are duds, you still have 10 good ones left to form pairs. It's a numbers game, and the pond lets you play it.
So what does this all mean? The complexity of the fish is completely overcome by one simple asset, a big, dedicated space available at the right time.
The research gave them the why. It's a social species with these challenges, and the pond gave them the how. It was the perfect time to explore this species.
So let's just quickly recap the major insights from this deep dive. First, the big one, the behavioral paradox. This is a cichlid that actually needs friends. It only thrives in groups of 8 or more.
Second, that logistical nightmare created by the limited sexual dimorphism. It forces you to buy in bulk and let nature, not your eye, do the selecting.
And third, that really intense risk assessment you have to make. The color mystery. Is this fish a diamond in the rough, just a juvenile? Or is it a rejected batch that's never going to shine?
And if we connect that to the bigger picture, that color dilemma is probably the most useful takeaway from all this. The breeder is having to evaluate potential versus a permanent flaw.
That really is the application here, isn't it? When you're looking at something new, a new project, a new employee, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you face that exact same choice. You're looking at an underdeveloped product.
And the question becomes, how do you know if it's just temporarily lacking something, but it's fundamentally sound? Something that just needs time and investment to reach its full potential.
Versus something that's permanently flawed and is just going to drain your resources.
It takes patience, deep observation, and a willingness to commit resources to the possibility of a good outcome, just like the fish keeper committed that pond.
You have to ask yourself,
Mhm.
do I believe this is an investment that's waiting to mature, or is this an immediate pass? It's a choice that affects outcomes far, far beyond a fish tank.
It forces you to look for context, for other signs of quality, when the visual evidence just isn't enough.
A perfect final thought. Thanks for diving in with us on this one. We hope this deep dive helps you make your own informed choices, whether you're picking out fish or something else entirely.